Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're diving right into one of the absolute most stressful dilemmas you can face as a homeowner. You've got the vision, you've got the dream, and you are finally ready to tackle that massive remodel. But then reality hits. Do you just tear off the Band-Aid and do it all at once, or do you strategically phase it out and live in a dusty construction zone for the foreseeable future? We need to talk about this, because making the wrong choice here doesn't just cost you your sanity, it can literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with a core concept, weigh the pros and cons, dig into the actual financial realities, break down 5 phasing strategies you can use, and wrap up with the master plan.
All right, part 1, the core concept. So it really all boils down to this big question. Do you build now or do you build later? Or actually, maybe it's more like build some now and build the rest later. It's really a question of timing, patience, and honestly, your personal risk tolerance.
You know the feeling, right? On one side, you have this beautiful vision of the gorgeous, finished house you've been dreaming of. But on the other side, your very real piggy bank. So how do we actually get these two to play nicely together without totally draining your savings to zero on day one?
Well, a lot of folks turn to phasing. To put it simply, phasing is just breaking your construction project up into multiple stages, rather than trying to do the whole shebang all at once. You just knock out a specific chunk of the work, hit pause, and then pick up the rest later down the road. By tackling just one wall, one room, or one floor at a time, you're spreading out both the physical workload and the massive financial hit over a much longer, way more manageable timeline. Look, if you're working with strict budget constraints or you absolutely have to live in the house while the work happens, this sounds like a total dream, doesn't it? But we've got to look at the whole picture here. Let's move to section 2, the pros and cons.
It's a massive trade-off between immediate relief and some pretty serious long-term headaches. On the relief side, phasing is great because it means reduced upfront costs. You don't have to write one massive check today. Plus, you can usually stay in the home and avoid paying crazy rent elsewhere. And you get to tackle urgent needs, like, say, a failing roof, first. It also puts a nice boundary around scope creep. But man, you have to look at the other side. The long-term headaches are very real. Phasing almost always leads to higher total costs over time. You're looking at extended disruption, living in a literal construction zone for way longer. Then there's the design continuity nightmare. What if the tiles you loved in Phase 1 are completely discontinued by Phase 2? Not to mention, financing a phase project can be incredibly complicated, and lenders often charge higher interest rates for it.
Which brings us to section 3, the financial realities.
Okay, I want you to think about this number, 5 to 15%. That is how much more your overall project is probably going to cost if you decide to phase it. Why? Well, every single time a contractor starts a new phase, they have to mobilize. They have to set up equipment, schedule the subcontractors, and then eventually pack it all up again. Doing that 3 times is just fundamentally more expensive than doing it once. Add in standard inflation and rising material costs between your phases, and that price tag really creeps up on you.
Let's put that into perspective with a real-world lifestyle cost. Say you go all at once and move out of the house. The project might take about 9 months and your overall construction costs stay lower. But if you phase it and decide to live in the home to save on rent, that exact same amount of work is now going to stretch to 12 to 14 months. So you're basically trading 9 months of paying rent for 14 months of waking up to power saws, getting drywall dust in your morning coffee, and paying a higher overall construction bill.
And this brings up a super critical question. Are you any good at timing the market? See, when you lock in a contract, the pricing for trades and materials is usually only good for about a 30-day bid window. If your phases stretch out beyond that, which, let's be real, they absolutely will, you're going to have to rebid. If labor or lumber prices skyrocket before Phase 2, guess who's paying that premium? You are. If interest rates spike, your financing just got way more expensive. Phasing leaves you incredibly vulnerable to the market.
All right, section 4, 5 phasing strategies.
If you're going to phase, you have to be smart about it. Here is a rapid-fire overview of the 5 best strategies. 1. Build your ADU first. 2. Prioritize critical systems. 3. Focus on core living spaces first. 4. Exterior now, interior later. And 5. Divide by floor or section.
Let's look closer at those first 2, which are all about logistics. Strategy 1 is absolutely brilliant if you're building an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. Build it first. That way you can literally just live in the ADU while the main house is being built. You save a ton of money on rent, and when the main house is done, you've got a rental unit ready to go. Strategy 2 is prioritizing your critical systems.
Tackle the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC right out of the gate. Getting those behind-the-wall systems up to code immediately guarantees you won't have to rip open beautiful new drywall in Phase 2 just because an outdated pipe suddenly bursts.
Now, strategy 3 is strictly for keeping your daily sanity intact. Focus on your core living spaces first. We're talking the kitchen, the main living room, maybe the primary bathroom. These are the spaces that truly dictate your daily comfort. If you can get an open concept kitchen and living area finished in Phase 1, you actually have a peaceful sanctuary to retreat to when the rest of the house feels chaotic.
Then we have strategies 4 and 5, where you're often choosing between raw framing and polished rooms. Strategy 4 is exterior now, interior later. Basically, if your home needs structural love, do that first. Make it completely weatherproof and energy efficient. You secure the envelope of the house, and you can defer the really expensive interior finishes for a couple of years down the road. Strategy 5 is dividing by floor. You completely renovate the lower level, move your entire life down there, and then let the construction crew completely take over the upper floors. It minimizes the chaos and contains the dust to one specific zone.
Finally, Section 5, the master plan. You absolutely cannot wing this. As our source material perfectly points out, comprehensive planning begins with the creation of a detailed master plan, even if the work will be completed in phases. This is exactly how you avoid your house turning into a disjointed Frankenstein of different design eras. You need a rock-solid, cohesive vision from day one, so that the jump from Phase 1 to Phase 2 is totally seamless and doesn't require any expensive rework.
So I want to leave you with this thought. Does your immediate need for flexibility and saving cash today truly outweigh the very real potential for massive long-term cost increases tomorrow? Phasing is an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but you've got to go into it with your eyes wide open, knowing the numbers and sticking to a rigorous master plan. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. I hope this helps you tackle your dream home with total confidence.